couple days ago, I got to see an advanced screening of Alexander Payne's new film, Nebraska. Now, I'm not really generally a big fan of Alexander Payne. He's a really good director, just his films haven't really spoken to me. I haven't seen all of his films, but I didn't like The Descendants, and I didn't like Sideways. I really love Election. That's probably, I would say, would have been my favorite film of his. So going into Nebraska, I didn't really know what quite to expect because just generally I don't connect to his films, but I loved, I loved Nebraska. Nebraska's about an old, aging, alcoholic man who wins $1 million in the sweepstakes, except it's one of those really fake, gimmicky magazine subscription things that people just get, you won $1 million, get these random phone calls and things in the mail. It's clearly fraud, and he believes he actually did win, and he wants to travel to Lincoln, Nebraska to pick up his prize, and he lives in Montana. And it's about him and his family, and mostly about him and his son, and the relationship that they have as his son decides to bring him to, just kind of fulfill this little fantasy of his for a while. And it's a road trip kind of movie, but it's more than that. It's not so much about the road trip, but more about this family. Bruce Dern plays the lead character, Woody Grant, and he won Best Actor in Cannes for this performance, and he's just fantastic in this movie. I'm not really familiar with Bruce Dern. I know he was a popular actor in the 70s and 80s. I don't think I've really seen any of his work before, but he is this movie. He's so good in this role. I totally, really, really hope he gets an Oscar nomination. And same with Will Forte, who I didn't really know what to expect of him in this movie because he's MacGruber. He's the Saturday Night Live actor. I've never really seen him do anything more dramatic, and I wouldn't even call this movie dramatic. I mean, it's kind of plainly a comedy in my eyes. I mean, it does have some more dramatic elements, but it's a hilarious movie. I was laughing throughout the whole thing. And the dialogue is so witty, and just everything about it is so clever, and so he, Alexander Payne, I'll give him this, he's really, really good at capturing small town, and kind of, he's got a little bit of a satirical way to him, and he really does manage to, make fun of people in this weird way, like the people who live in this little town that they go to in Nebraska, Hawthorne, Nebraska, where they kind of visit his Woody's old hometown. And he also mixes professional actors with completely people who have never acted before. I actually saw this movie that Alexander Payne was there, and he did a Q&A, and he did a little introduction, and I really got a good insight into who he is and his work, which you rarely get that chance with directors. I mean, unless you really research or really go and watch interviews, and directors don't really do interviews that often. So it was a really cool experience to see Alexander Payne talk about his film and to really get a sense of who he is, because I feel directors, for how important they are and for the amazing work that they do, people never really get to know who they are, and maybe that's a good thing in general. You kind of don't have to have that bias of who this person is when you're watching a film. Yeah, anyways, the point was he integrates really professional actors with completely newbies to it, and it works so well, and I would never know that anyone in this film was not a real actor, because everyone in this movie is just so perfect, and they're even in their small roles. The acting, Will Forte also, he's really good in this. He doesn't have that much of a role that's hard to play or anything. He's just kind of the straight guy, just the normal son. He's trying to help his father. He's just really good-hearted, and he's not even particularly the funny character in this movie either, but he just does a good job at kind of, carrying the film as well. The person I need to talk about in this movie, because she just stole the whole show, and she was just incredible, and she's another actress I'm not very familiar with, but June Squibb plays the mother, the wife, and she is hilarious in this movie. She steals every scene she's in. It's also the lines that she has are just so funny, but she just delivers everything so spot on, so perfectly. There was points where, like, people were clapping for her because she's just so good. I hope she gets a supporting actress nomination or win. Like, she's by far, I can't think of any other supporting actress performance this year that comes close to what June Squibb has done in this movie. She's just, like, comedic genius in this film. And the whole cast is just so good. Like, there are no one that you would know. It's just a lot of new people, a lot of unfamiliar actors, a lot of just local talent in Nebraska, I'm guessing. And everyone is just so perfect in this movie, and this little small town is just captured so well. It's such a heartwarming and charming and funny movie, and it's filmed in black and white, I should mention. And the black and white just really gives it this other quality where it has this kind of timelessness that it gives it, because it's really kind of a timeless story about family, and just the way that, like, this family kind of really comes together over this fake $1 million sweepstakes win. They go to visit, like, family and relatives that they don't see very often, and it's just this clearly, like, weird kind of discomfort between, like, brothers and sisters and cousins who don't really know each other. And I feel like we've all kind of experienced that, like, visiting family that you don't really know, and the film just captures, like, the essence of that so brilliantly. The music in the film is really good. The soundtrack is really good. As I said, I have this newfound appreciation now for Alexander Payne, just from this film and from hearing him speak. I feel like the tone of this film kind of captures exactly what he tries to do in a lot of his other films, and I know people love his films. His other films are really acclaimed. For me, it's always been this strange balance of tone that never worked out. Like, he deals with these melancholy subjects and gives them this kind of strange, humorous tone. And, like, for me, like, that's something that I would think would work for me. Like, I like dark comedy, and I like, when really serious stuff is kind of almost made light of. But in his films, I just never found it particularly funny or particularly sad. It was just this weird, don't know how to feel kind of emotion that I would get out of watching. But Nebraska, like, does that. It has a bit of this melancholy of this man who's just, he doesn't have much to live for, and he's just so excited, and this is, like, his one last big thing in life, and the way that everyone reacts to his win of $1 million, and how it makes him kind of somebody in this little small town. He used to be kind of like no one, and no one there has much money, and it's just this, like, economically kind of poor place, and the fact that he's won $1 million makes him something of a celebrity, and it just gives him something. Like, this is a man who, like, he's an alcoholic, and he doesn't seem to have much care about anything, and he's just kind of out of it all the time, and this is just a will to live for him, and it has this kind of strange sadness to it, but it's also just so completely funny, like, so outright funny. I'm giving it an A, and thank you for watching my review. If you've seen the film, please comment, we can discuss it, and if you want to talk about any of other Alexander Payne work, comment, we can talk about that too. I am more now open to, like, revisiting his films and giving them a second chance, the ones that I didn't really enjoy that much. I also haven't seen About Schmidt, so I want to watch that too, and Citizen Ruth. Yeah, newfound appreciation for this director, for sure, and Nebraska, I want to say now, is one of my favorite films of this year. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Adriana. My blog is Fresh from the Theater. If you like what you see, please subscribe.